Hey everybody, this is Mrs. Hahn, and today we're going to be learning about what we call the ingbomb and edbomb phrases as language arts teachers. These are also known as verbal phrases. That's the formal name for them. So a phrase is just a group of words. So I want you to think of an ingbomb and edbomb like a phrase where you drop it in the sentence, like you drop a bomb, and it adds more detail and it turns your sentence into a more interesting, complex sentence. So here is your learning goal for today. Today, I will be able to use verbal phrases, also known as the ingbomb and edbomb phrase, in order to improve my use of syntax and write fluent, complex sentences. Remember, syntax is when we switch up our sentence structure, whether we're using punctuation or what order we put the words in to make our sentences more beautifully written and more engaging. So that's what we're doing today with our ingbomb and edbomb phrase. Now, an ingbomb and edbomb phrase are really what we call verbal phrases. So I want to teach you very quickly what a verbal is. When you think of the word verbal, you probably hear verb in there. A verbal is a word that looks like a verb. It looks like an action word, but it acts like something else. So verbals are words that look like verbs, but they can act like adjectives, nouns, or even adverbs. Here are some examples. Let's look at this sentence here. Kalina loves sleeping in late on Saturdays. Now, when I look at the actions, I see, oh, well, loves is an action and sleeping, that's an action, right? But the actual action taking place in the sentence is loves. What does Kalina do? She loves. That is the action. So the actual verb is loves. The verbal is sleeping. Now, in this sentence, sleeping is an action. It is a thing. It is a thing that Kalina loves. So the verbal is the word sleeping that looks like an action, but it actually acts like, right here, what the verb acts like, it acts like a noun because sleeping is the thing in the sentence. It is the thing that Kalina loves to do. Here are some more examples. Nikhil drops the noodles in the boiled water. Again, we think drops is an action, boil is an action. But in this case, there's actually only one verb. The actual verb is drops. That's what Nikhil is doing. He drops the noodles. The verbal then is boiled. And here, since it's describing a noun, it's describing the word water, the verbal acts like an adjective. So the verbal acts like an adjective because boiled water describes the boiled describes the water. What kind of water? The boiled water. Let's look at our final sentence example here. Boiling the water is crucial so the noodles will cook. Now, this is tricky because this sentence actually has what we call a linking verb. And a linking verb is a word like is, was, are, be, and they're not actions. You can't go outside and is. You can't go outside and be. So the verb is the linking verb. The word is. So boiling the water is crucial. There's my verb. So the verbal is boiling, right? It looks like an action, but it's not. So the verbal acts like a noun. What thing is crucial? Boiling here is the subject of a sentence, and a subject always must be a noun. So what thing is crucial? Boiling. Boiling the water is crucial. So that's a verbal. Okay, so what we're going to do now is combine sentences using an ingbomb. So an ingbomb phrase is a separate phrase. It's set off with commas, usually on both sides or maybe on one side. And it starts with an ing word, an ing word, and then it adds further detail to the sentence. So again, an ingbomb phrase is a separate phrase set off with commas from the rest of the sentence, and it starts with an ing word, adding further detail to the sentence. Try to combine these sentences by turning the second sentence into an ingbomb phrase. So basically take these two sentences and put them together, but take the letter B sentence down here and combine them. So you might want to pause the video and do that now. Here are our sentences. Brianna Scurry sized up Lee Yu. Scurry was standing at the goal line. Okay, pause the video, see if you can combine them. All right, so here's your answer. Instead of Brianna Scurry sized up Liu Ying, Scurry was standing at the goal line, I took the ing word, the ing word, and I turned this into a phrase. Standing at the goal line, comma, Brianna Scurry sized up Liu Ying. So standing at the goal line, Brianna Scurry sized up Liu Ying. So I basically just got rid of Scurry was, and then I took this phrase and I put it at the beginning of the sentence with a comma after it. Let's try again. This time we're going to use, oops, I have a typo here. This time we're going to use an edbomb. So instead of an ing word, we're going to use an ed word. We call this an edbomb. So try to combine these sentences by turning the second sentence into an edbomb phrase. Remember, a word that ends with ed. Remember, an edbomb phrase is a separate phrase set off with commas that starts with an ed word and it adds further detail. So let's look at letter A. Ying began to run towards the bouncing ball. Letter B, she was surrounded by players from the other team. So my edbomb, my ed word is right here, surrounded. So pause the video, think about how you could turn letter B into a phrase and add it somewhere in letter A. Pause the video and do that. Okay, here's our answer. So Ying began to run towards the bouncing ball. She was surrounded by players from the other team. I got rid of she was, and I started my sentence right here with the edbomb, with the ed word. Surrounded by players from the other team, comma, Ying began to run towards the bouncing ball. Now I have a more interesting, more complex sentence with imagery in it instead of two short, choppy sentences. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice. So get out your copy of the assignment titled Practice It, the ingbomb and the edbomb. You can either find this in the Week 18 folder, or you can get this link from your teacher if you're doing this in class. So let's take a look at this assignment. So here's what the assignment looks like. You've already seen these examples. Basically, the first box has a group of sentences that you want to combine using the ingbomb. So part 1 is practicing ingbomb sentences. For each group, you want to put both sentences together, making one longer complex sentence. Remember, you need to use an ingbomb phrase, so the second sentence typically will have an ing word to start your phrase. Part 2 is where you're going to practice using the edbomb. Exactly the same as part 1. You've got 3 practice sentences. You have these 2 sentences. You need to take sentence 2 or sentence 1 and turn it into an edbomb phrase and combine the sentences together. Good luck as you practice.